There's a lot of crazy people in this world. There's a lot of crazy people in the world. Let's get over into it. See what we can find out.
Tonight, people who live in the area of Arden Park say they are fearful for their families' lives after a man was arrested twice in one day. Seen on surveillance carrying a knife, later caught, booked, and released. Well, at this time, that man, identified by the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office as Brian Matson, is now back in custody again. ABC 10's Roxanne Elias was there when the suspect was arrested the second time and has the latest on the investigation.
A woman who lives here in Arden Park says it was about 8:30 Thursday night when she began getting notifications from her Ring camera to her phone. She says at first she thought nothing of it until she took a look at her phone and could see a man at her door carrying a knife and making stabbing motions. Here you can see and hear a man holding a knife at the front door of a neighbor's house in Arden Park off La Sierra Drive. Amy Guthrie says that neighbor called her immediately, warning her of what was happening a few houses down.
We gathered our cats and our baseball bat and my sledgehammer and my gun and went in my bedroom and just sat there and listened for hours.
Guthrie says the man is homeless, known in the area, and lives right behind her house in this space between her backyard and a Chase Bank. This Ring video was also shared from a different home in proximity, putting families on high alert.
I received a message from my wife and neighbors about this individual with a knife on their porch, and it was 40 steps from my kids sleeping at night, and I was away on work and pretty helpless, and so seeing this, it's almost something that came out of a movie. And
first of all, let me say something. If this was happening in the South, he would have been shot already. We got to call it how it is. I don't know if that's because this is in California. He would have been shot already.
And you can't unsee it.
On Saturday, the Sacramento County Sheriff's Office arrested the suspect, 56-year-old Brian Matson. They say the only crime they could charge him with was criminal trespassing, which is a misdemeanor. The Sheriff's Office says deputies learned Matson was on felony probation, and they say Sacramento County Probation declined to place a probation hold. He was released from custody in less than 2 hours after being booked.
It's absolutely disgusting. If somebody had opened that door, there would have been a bloodbath. And he's free, and he has priors. And they wouldn't tell Becky what the priors were, but you have priors, and you're going around in a residential area, knocking on people's doors late at night.
ABC 10 was also in the area shortly after 7 Saturday night when deputies began swarming the area where Matson stays. Minutes later, the Sheriff's Office says he was rearrested for once again carrying a knife and trespassing. Michael Duville was also there, and although baffled, says he believes this is a failure of the system.
This situation has really kind of opened our eyes that politics is all local. It's our backyard. It's our front porches in this case, right? And so we want to learn and understand, changes that are being done at the top level and how they're impacting our families.
In Arden Park, Roxanne Elias, ABC 10.
What would you have done if this man was, you've seen this on you pull up your door cam, you get notifications, you pull it up, and you see a man just making stabbing noise, stabbing motions, acting like he's in a Call of Duty game outside your front door. And then he knocks on the door, y'all. It's a crazy world, y'all. Let's get over into this next video where we actually see the full Ring doorbell camera. Let's get over into it. Dirty knife too. Absolutely crazy. Let's go over to one more video and see what else it tells us.
This is a learning experience. Thank God nobody got hurt. But what are some community policing things we can work on together so we can solve problems both in this community and others as well?
Residents in the Arden Arcade neighborhood of Sacramento say they're still pretty shaken up after seeing this man caught on doorbell cameras carrying a knife and approaching homes. He was arrested twice over the weekend and has now been identified as 56-year-old Brian Mattson. KCRA 3's Andres Valle spoke to neighbors about their frustrations. So, Andres, you're in the newsroom right now. How is this community trying to address this?
Well, Andrea, those neighbors say the system is clearly flawed, but rather than point fingers, they're banding together to figure out solutions to keep their neighborhood safe. Doorbell camera video showing a man carrying a knife and walking up to homes in Arden Arcade has now drawn national attention and left neighbors demanding answers, like Michael DeVille.
With all the national press that this has gotten in the last 72 hours, the story seems to be changing a little bit, and we just want the community to know kind of where we stand and the issues at stake.
That issue being this man being released hours after being arrested. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office says 56-year-old Brian Mattson was seen Thursday evening approaching homes on La Sierra Drive with a knife in his hand. Deputies found and arrested him Saturday morning, but investigators say they could only book him on criminal trespassing charges.
We asked probation for a probation violation to hopefully keep him in custody longer. That was declined. So he was out within, I want to say, about 90 minutes or so. So he got in and out of jail super fast.
Lieutenant Amar Gandhi adding that Mattson is on felony probation.
It makes us want to dive back and understanding how the system works, because clearly there's a system in place here that I will admit I'm not as familiar with 48 or 72 hours ago as I feel like I am now. But there's a lot of pieces of this pie, and it's so easy to point the finger at one individual group where maybe there was a lapse in judgment or something that could have been done better.
After Mattson,
I mean, it ultimately sounds like that the probation office holded the most power. For some reason, they decided to decline to put a hold on him for violating parole. I wonder why.
release, deputies release his photo to the public for safety awareness and ask possible victims to come forward. Hours later, deputies responded to another trespassing call involving Mattson. This time, deputies say a probation violation hold was approved. Still, neighbors are frustrated.
This is a systemic failure, we believe, and we want to learn from it and make sure it doesn't happen again.
KCRA 3 has repeatedly reached out to Sacramento County Probation via email and phone calls for comment and has not received a response. But rather than place blame on one department, Michael says his neighbors are focused on solutions to keep them safe.
The Sheriff's Office has been in contact with many community members and neighbors, pointing at suggestions on how we can be sure this doesn't happen, but also making sure, we feel safe moving forward.
Now they're organizing to create a community watch group.
We have a future date coming up with local members of our local area and our neighborhood to kind of sit down and talk about this. And knowing how we can protect ourselves and make sure that our community members and neighbors are safe is important until the experts arrive.
Now Mattson remains in jail tonight and is ineligible for bail. He's expected to appear in court tomorrow afternoon.
That's something. He's ineligible for bail, so I like to hear that. This is a crazy situation, but at the end of the day, always be ready to protect yourself. Anybody could have walked outside. It could have been just a random thing where you just decide to go check the mail for a quick second. And he's just standing on the porch. Got his hand up like he's blocking somebody, doing crazy. That's why I keep my gun on me. That's at the end of the day. Let's go over to the AI breakdown just to see what else we can find out about this whole situation. So as we know, the knife-wielding man seen in Arden Arcade, a neighborhood, has been identified as Brian, 56, and is in custody without bail. The incident gained widespread attention at the doorbell camera footage from Thursday, May 1st, showed him acting erratically and making stabbing motions while holding a knife on the front porch. Residents reported a man brandishing a knife and attempting to access homes around 8:30. Despite helicopter search by Sacramento County Sheriff's Office, he was not immediately found. He was located on Saturday and arrested on misdemeanor charges. Despite being a felon on felony probation, he was released from custody less than 2 hours later, 90 minutes, because the Sacramento Probation Department declined to issue a hold. Within hours of his release, deputies arrested him again, trespassing at the business near Fair Oaks Boulevard and San Lucas Way. I wonder if he would have actually attacked somebody, would the probation center be held liable? So he is currently being held in Sacramento County main jail with no bail, and his court date is scheduled for today. Shaken by the events, the suspect rapid release, the neighbors have begun forming a community watch group and are pushing for systematic changes in local law enforcement and probation procedures. Now, if that's not a reason to get involved with your local governments, what is? Changing policies that would put these people back on the street or allows the probation office to even think of denying a hold. That's something you have to talk about your local officials with. Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let me know your thoughts on that situation. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said.